Hi, everyone. My name is Seda Goff. I'm with PenFed Foundation's Veteran Entrepreneur Investment Program. And we are here to help veterans start and grow businesses and through helping them tackle the challenge of access to capital. That's what we do. And we find ourselves in this time of a lot of uncertainty with COVID-19 and everybody's lives changing, with an opportunity to help bring education and resources to help our veteran entrepreneur and military spouse entrepreneurs around the country with the relevant information that they need to be successful and to weather a crisis and a storm like this. To kick it off, we wanted to bring you the most relevant and timely content and thought specifically about the SBA disaster fund and disaster loan that they have for small businesses and businesses around the country. And we wanted to learn more about that and then be able to share that because the time is of the essence with this program. And to help us learn more about that and to give us more information, I'd like to introduce everyone to Jen Loges from One Degree Capital. She's going to join us momentarily via video. Jen, let me know if you have any issues coming on video. There you are. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. And
glad to be here.
She is our resident expert on, all things small business accounting, but specifically about the SBA relief loan. And she recently did a podcast, and the link is on the Eventbrite site. If you haven't listened to it already, I very much encourage you to listen to that. But we're here to dive into that information, but also to answer your questions. This is a live event. So we want to answer questions. So we're going to spend the beginning part of this webinar with just general content, and then we're going to open up the floor to answer questions. So what I'd ask everyone to do is we have muted everybody's audio, but there is a chat feature that should be off to the right on your screen. And if you click chat and go to either direct to me or to everyone, if you would like to share your question with everyone, feel free to put your questions in there and I will help triage those and get those to Jen throughout this webinar. And we are recording this webinar and we will release the recording to everybody who has registered for the event. And you can find the recording at penfedfoundation.org/veep in our resources section there, and we will have the recording there as well. But to kick it off, Jen, we'd love to hear more about you and your background, and then tell us what everyone is talking about with this SBA loan option and what is this option?
You're so sweet. No one wants to hear about my background. They want to know about the SBA loans. So
I defer to you.
For everyone's time, I'll skip over that.
Okay.
But you have, Seda, like the perfect timing for this webinar. And I do want to timestamp it because I know people are maybe listening to this later. And the information is evolving so quickly. So I do want to timestamp that this is Thursday afternoon. It's about 4:00 on March 19th. There are some events that have just unfolded here in the past couple of hours, which is why I think it's important to, as you're listening and as you're getting information from people about really anything that's going on, but specifically about loan options, SBA, where those things are, always be sure to find out when they were talking about it because the situation really is evolving. So first of all, what is it? The SBA Disaster Relief Loan Program is what we're specifically talking about. This is entirely different than just regular SBA loans that you would go get from a bank. These SBA loans are brought in when there is a natural disaster or some sort of a disaster in an area, and they are directly administered by the SBA, which is different than the regular SBA program. You have to go through a bank. When you're getting these, it's straight from the SBA. These are low interest loans. They're not grants. You do have to pay it back. They're low interest loans. The rate is 3.75% for up to 30 years. You can get up to $2 million for a business. This does not mean every business is going to get those terms. Everyone still has to apply. There are credit conditions. What they're looking for is the SBA is looking to help a business get through a loss of revenue, which is what they refer to. You'll hear a lot talked about an economic injury. And that's what they're talking about, is like you have now with a lot of restaurants closed, gyms, any place of public gathering, movie theaters, all of those types of places, by and large, are closed right now or operating at extremely limited capacity. So the revenue is just shot. I spoke to a daycare operator who owns five daycares, and he said just within the course of 10 days, he was talking about a record 2020, and now he is at 50% of capacity. So it is a huge impact very quickly on a lot of businesses. So these types of loans are meant to come in to help relieve some of the burden that a business would be getting if they were to, since they have the loss of revenue. So that's what it is. Who is eligible? This is the part that's changing kind of as we speak. Just yesterday, the governor of Virginia asked the SBA to include all of Virginia, basically every county in Virginia, as a economic disaster area. So that these funds are available. That was just approved at 2:00 this afternoon. So as of right now, if you are in any county in Virginia, you are able to go on and apply. And I'll tell you how to do that in a little bit. You can do it yourself. So you can go online and apply in Virginia. If you're in Washington, D.C., you're also able to go on and apply at this time. If you're in Maryland, I'm not sure why, but that's not online yet. The only counties that are online right now are Montgomery County and PG County because they border Washington, D.C. The other counties in Virginia, it has not come online yet. Again, keep checking back. This is one of those things of don't read this a week later and think you can't. Keep checking on the SBA's website and watch for that. I would encourage you, since Maryland is not online yet, I'm not sure why, the person who does that is the governor's office. So I would call your governor's office, get a status on that and find out when they're going to be requesting the support from the SBA. It does have to come from the governor's office to the SBA. They have to declare it an economic disaster area in order for you to be able to apply. When you go on, and so how do you do it, really? And when you go on to apply, you will go to sba.gov/disaster. And maybe we can throw that in the chat window as well, Seda, just so everybody has it. But yeah, sba.gov/disaster. You can do everything on there from check who is eligible to apply. You can check who is eligible to apply. You can also start your online application process right there. Again, these are direct loans. You don't need any. You don't need to go through anyone. Do you need help? You may need help getting through it. These, just to give you an idea, kind of what you need to be prepared for and what the process is. So it's a 3-step process. First of all, you get your eligibility. You go online and apply. They're going to ask you for several items when you go on and apply. So be prepared. Be prepared with your most recent tax return. Hopefully you filed 2020. If not, that's okay. They'll use 2018, and they'll use 2019. So get your
Jen, we had a moment where your audio went out.
Got it.
Yeah, there you are. Great.
I see it.
Yep.
So get your financials ready. Your tax returns, your balance sheets, your profit and loss, your personal financial statement. Even though this is a business loan, your personal finances do come into play. So they will have a form that they're going to ask you some questions about what you have in your personal life as well. So be prepared for that. They're also going to ask you your monthly sales figures. They'll ask you for your monthly sales figures. So know that going into it as well, because again, this is, it's an economic relief. You have suffered an economic injury when you're doing this. So they're going to want to know, okay, your revenues, going along have been this. Now all of a sudden they're this, and that's the claim part of it. So they do want to know what your monthly figures are. Get all of that information together, apply, go through everything on the website. You can do everything online. You can upload the forms there. I hate to say step 3. Step 3 is wait. And this is the really frustrating part. And this is the part where it is so important that as soon as you're able to apply, if your business is in need, as soon as you're able to apply, get on there and apply. The reason being is I hate to use the term normal disaster, but you think of a normal disaster where something like this comes into play. Typically it affects a region. So you're talking like a hurricane, the tornadoes that'll go through the Midwest. You have a relatively isolated group of, several businesses that are impacted. And this program gets enacted, they go online and apply. During that process, it typically takes the SBA 2 to 3 weeks to process an application. Now we have a situation where this is coming online for the whole country. Gradually, but that's where it's coming online. This is going to be an impact for everyone in the country. Everyone in the country, once they start applying, this is no longer going to be a 2 to 3 week processing time. There's just, I can tell you, not the manpower to be able to handle that. So the really important thing is, especially if you are a restaurant, if you're retail, those types of businesses that are significantly impacted by this and have significant economic injury, go online, get the process started now, is probably the best thing that you can do. That's the kind of big overview of it. And like I said, I just wanted to dive right into kind of where things are right now. Seda, before we jump into questions, there's similar to this, there are a couple of other recent changes that have just happened, and they have to do with taxes for businesses. So I want to make sure that everybody has the latest with that, because one of them is effective tomorrow. The governor of Virginia just did a press conference about an hour ago, and he announced that the Virginia Tax Commissioner's Office is going to, normally the sales tax is due tomorrow. It's due on the 20th of each month. They will consider, I'm looking through their words, I want to make sure I get it right. They will consider a request for an extension for the March 20th payments to be April 20th instead. So they will give you a 30-day window to pay those sales taxes. However, you have to request it. You do have to still submit in the report. They are still going to charge you interest if you don't make the payment on time. They do say they're doing trying to get some legislation to be able to get rid of the interest, but right now, by law, they have to charge the interest, so it will be on there. The Virginia Tax Commissioner's website should have more of that information online, hopefully later today. They, again, just announced it about an hour ago. Similarly, for the due date for Virginia independent and corporate taxes, the filing deadline remains the same. It is still May 1st. However, the payments are not due until June 1st. And again, it's the same caveat. You still have to file everything. It's just the payments won't be due until June 1st. And again, they are still going to accrue interest, and they're going to work with the legislation to get that backdated removed. But those are two things that, as far as taxes and the businesses that are just now happening. And it's, again, if you're in Virginia, go to the Virginia Tax Commissioner's website to get the latest on those things.
That's great. Thank you so much. And before we dive into questions, and because I know we have people here from all over the country, is we are also pulling together this information. Like we're talking about, it's happening in real time. We're trying to keep up with it in real time. And we're pulling all this information together on the PenFed Foundation, the Veteran Entrepreneur Investment Program page, which is penfedfoundation.org/veep. And there is a big link right in the dead center, top of the page, that says for coronavirus COVID-19 resources. And you click on that, and we're updating it in live on multiple states across the country, California, Illinois, Virginia, and we're updating that as we go along. So please look there for these additional links for your local areas. So we do have a few questions that I want to dive into. Now, how long is this loan program going to be available? Is it basically until the money runs out, or is there a time frame?
They haven't established a time frame. So it is the application start dates. I think they have it backdated a bit to January 31st, even on some of the states. But there's no deadline for it as of yet. Will the money run out? That's a good question. And again, that's one of those things that's just continuously evolving. They just passed one bill with a big tranche of funds, and they're already working on the next one. So I doubt that this would run out of money. But again, they haven't had a situation where they've had the whole nation, this number of business owners applying for it at one time. So the important thing will be if you have this need, to get your funds, to get your request in.
And to that point about it being national, if a business owner has multiple locations in multiple states, do they apply for each state? Kind of how many locations, what are the requirements even within each of those?
Sure. The state is going to be where you have, or even the county. I think I saw one question had different counties in one state. The counties, as of now, won't matter. If you were on, for example, the Virginia website this morning, you could only apply in Fairfax, Alexandria, and Arlington counties. That has changed as of this afternoon. Now, in any county, you're able to do that because it is statewide now. The other states will be coming on board with that as things roll out. So keep checking back. I know I checked Texas for one client earlier today, and it still hadn't updated. So do keep looking at that website. They do update it fairly frequently. So do keep checking back on which is eligible. As far as where you should apply, if you have multiple locations, wherever think about your corporate tax return, wherever you file your corporate tax return, whatever jurisdiction that is in, whatever you're using as your corporate address, that is the best place to start. Because it will ask you as you go through the process, it's going to ask you about those different entities and those different locations. Similarly, if you have we have a lot of clients who have a parent corporation and multiple locations, each have their own entities. If you file the parent, it's going to give you that opportunity to walk through those individual entities as well.
And is there any requirement on the type of entity that can apply for this? Like, can corporations, entities that are filed as a corporation, qualify?
Yep, everything from a sole proprietor to S Corp, C Corp, limited liability corporation, limited partnerships. They're all, if you are a business that has revenue that's been affected by this COVID-19 virus, then you're eligible.
Okay, great. And just looking through some of these other questions. So we, particularly in our, ecosystem and sphere, we have a lot of startups. We have companies that, haven't been around for that long and are building their revenues. And what is the baseline revenue requirement, or is it a loss requirement?
It's an impact requirement. So if you are a startup business that has you're working out of your home, you have no payroll, you really have no expenses on the books, it's going to be tough to get one of these loans, because these loans are looking at helping you recover and be able to get through the next few months. It's based on what your lost revenue is and your fixed expenses. So things like payroll, things like rent, your utilities, other things that can't be paid because of this disaster's impact. That's what they're looking to cover you for. So yes, if you're a startup and you don't have those expenses, the chances of being able to do this are pretty low. But there are, I know at the end, I think we're going to talk about some other things to do other than loans are great. They're not the fix all. There are some other things to do if you're in that situation.
Okay, great. And if an entrepreneur has multiple businesses that are all, filed separately, they can go after these funds separately because it's based on the company. Is that correct?
Yes. So you're if you have multiple entities that have multiple, so each entity has its own revenue, then yes, you would want to apply for, under each entity. And again, because it's looking at overall, and when you step back and look at kind of the big picture, SBA is looking to help you through the economic impact that you're having. So it's how the lost revenue is making it impossible for you to cover your core expenses. Again, those things like payroll, rent, utilities, those types of core expenses. It's not going to, they're probably not going to cover things like payments to investors or those types of things. They'll look at everything on a case-by-case basis, but really they're looking to help you through those core things that you need to keep that business open and operating over the next few months.
Okay, great. Talking about the additional types of things that you could do. And yesterday you and I were talking about, what are the different options that business owners have for cash flow, to help them through this if this SBA program is not, doesn't fit them. And also, we were also talking through kind of the employee side, and we could probably do a whole nother one of these pop-up webinars just on that. I mean, we talked about it at length yesterday, but in your other ways, can you talk through a couple of those things that we talked about?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. There's, look, the bottom line is whether it's this loan or whatever, the reality is for most businesses, their revenue has just tanked, and it's looking at not just getting a loan, but what do you do? I did see one question related to that. How long does the SBA loan process take that they've applied and they're waiting for someone to contact them? As I said before, in a normal instance, you're talking 2 to 3 weeks to get a loan processed. This will be longer. So there are things to do in the meantime. If you're applied and waiting for that process, if you're a startup and don't qualify, if you don't have revenue and don't qualify, there's things that you can do to cover those costs in the meantime that every business owner should be considering. And the top thing to do is not to wait. Take an honest assessment of your cash flow needs for the next 90 days. And I think that's one thing that a lot of businesses are struggling with is they don't know how long they're going to be closed. They don't, there's a lot of unknowns right now as far as how do I know what to plan for when I don't know when this ends? Yeah. So it's a big thing on everyone's mind. My suggestion would be, don't try and plan for, okay, this is a week thing, or this is a 10-day thing, or that. Look at your business for the next 90 days, because even when you come back online, things aren't just going to be popped up overnight. It's not going to go back to the way it was. Things will be significantly different. Look at the next 90 days. What do you need for your business to survive in the next 90 days? And that's where you need to take that honest assessment of what are your cash flow needs for then. Couple of other things to do with that. If you haven't filed your tax return yet, I know we talked a little bit about tax returns. If you haven't yet filed your tax return personally, and you believe that you'll get a refund, file now. Don't let that money sit there until April 15th. Take the time, do it now, get that refund. If you believe that you're going to owe, the good news is you still have to file by April 15th, but they're delaying the payments until July 15th. So that does give you a little bit of breathing room for whatever money you had saved up to pay the taxes. You could use for working capital needs now and give yourself that cushion. You do still need to make sure you have that cash for July 15th, but that gives you an opportunity to use those funds right now for the essentials. The tough one, you touched on it a little bit about employees. Do you keep, and I've been fielding questions about this all day. Do you keep employees? Do you furlough them? Do you lay them off? Do you fire them? Do you look at them and go, I don't know what to do? Do you just let them work? I've got a lot of questions about this. Do you just let them work? And because they're saying, well, I'll work for free. Those are some tough questions. I'm not going to get into the legal piece of it. What I will say is that when you lay off your employees, they're eligible to get unemployment. And Virginia, for example, just waived the requirement. There's no waiting period now. So once you're laid off, you're immediately eligible to collect unemployment. The governor announced today that over 10,000 Virginians have applied for unemployment here in the past week. So it is really, there's a lot of people that are taking advantage of that, which is a good thing. If you lay off an employee, they're able to be recalled. So it's not like you're laying them off and then they can't come back. They absolutely can come back as soon as you reopen. But formally laying them off does allow them the opportunity to take full advantage of the unemployment benefits. You can also reduce their hours and they are still eligible for some benefits, just not as much. They're only making a claim for that reduction in hours. So it's a conversation to have, but it is something to look at. Couple of other things that you can do. If you already have, say, an SBA loan or a bank loan, SBA loans specifically, call your bank to discuss options for deferring payments. They do have hardship clauses in most of these types of long-term loans. Talk to your bank and see what you can work out. Some of our clients have worked out complete waiver of any principal or interest payments. Some are making interest-only payments. It just depends on your particular situation. The key to it, though, is to communicate. Talk to your bank. Talk to them. Don't hide from it. Just hit it head on and say, hey, here's the situation. My revenue's down. It's going to be down 50%, 75%, 100% if you're closed down. What can we do? Nobody wants to have mass defaults. Your bank doesn't want you to default. Your landlord doesn't want you to to have to shut down. So the biggest thing with that is to just make sure that you're communicating. So again, outside of your bank loan, any other loans that you have and your landlord, make those conversations, have those tough conversations and work it out with them. I think you'll find right now, everybody's in the same boat. Your landlord is also a business owner. So at the same time that you're trying to figure out your cash flow needs, your landlord is also trying to figure that out to see what sort of a claim they might need to file for. So it is really important that they know revenues that they can count on, so that they know how to go forward with their options as well. Finally, I would say, this is confusing and overwhelming. I know. Lean on your CPA, lean on your financial advisors. All of those, do utilize those resources. You can, if you don't have anybody to talk to, you can call us. At any time. You can go to our website. Happy to talk to people, but it is important and really would keep that open to communicate to all of the people that you know are going to be impacted by this.
And can you tell us what your website is, like where we could get more information if we want from you?
Sure. Yep. So if you go to our website is onedegreecapital.com. You can also, and I think we can put that in the chat as well. You can also reach me directly on LinkedIn. We're all business owners. Most of us are on LinkedIn. If you're not, that's a topic for another webinar. But go to LinkedIn and just search Jen Loges, Loges, and you'll find me there as well. And feel free to reach out to me if you have questions. Again, you can apply directly to sba.gov/disaster. You can do it yourself. I realize it can be overwhelming. If you have specific questions, we're here, and we're, ready, willing, and able to help businesses try and sort through this.
That's great, and thank you, Jen. And we want to do these type of topic chats more often and do these kind of quick bite size. But we are also, and I would love to tell the group that next week on Wednesday, we will be holding a town hall. We'll bring more subject matter experts. Jen will join us again, but we'll also be bringing legal. We'll have some different types of leadership and small business owners that can have their basically talk toward their subject matter expertise. So follow us on all those social medias that are relevant, particularly LinkedIn, like Jen said, and visit our website. And we are, like I said, continuing to develop our national resources page. So check out that page for what's local to your area, and talk to your friends that are also small business owners. This is an opportunity to get those best practices as we go through this. And if you have any additional questions, please message us through social media or even through this event. And we look forward to seeing you all on Wednesday at the town hall. Thank you so much, Jen.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.